Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the future of the water and wastewater industry and the careers you didn't know about. I'm your host, Dave Kosminski, and we are live on location at the ATCAVE, which is the Annual Technical Conference and Vendor Expo for the Connecticut Section AWWA here at AquaTurf. So with us in the house is a special friend, a new friend of mine, Ms. Carol Stewart, who is on the faculty at Southern Connecticut State University, and she is a compadre of Professor Wesley Winterbottom. So, Carol, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, great. So tell us a little bit about what your day job is.
Well, I'm also the director of the Energy and Utilities Leadership Program.
Okay.
This is a new program that we've actually rebranded the former Public Utilities Management degree and made it into Energy and Utilities Leadership. So I'm the director of that program.
Nice.
It will run in the fall of 2025.
Okay.
And how it came about, probably about a year ago, our dean asked all of our stakeholders, the various utility companies, to meet with us and say, we want you to hire our students. What kind of skills do they need, and what kind of things do they need to learn? So collectively, we came up with the new program that I just mentioned, based upon feedback from the utility stakeholders.
Nice. Now I understand you're going to be presenting this afternoon on this.
Yes, I am.
Okay, with Wes.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So, how long have you been with Southern Connecticut now?
Wow, I've been with them for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I've only been the director for less than a year.
Okay.
Of the utility program.
Okay.
But in my prior life, I used to work for Southern New England Telephone, which was a public utility at the time.
SNET.
SNET, yes. Not everybody remembers.
No, my uncle worked for SNET for years in the Middletown office and so forth. Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah. So I have experience. And then I left there and went on to as a consultant to Pfizer Pharmaceutical as their corporate trainer, and then Bristol Myers Squibb. So I know about regulation and regulatory and all those things that you're supposed to know.
Well, the way regulations are moving today, it seems like you're always chasing the apple cart.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of the regulations become unfunded mandates.
Right.
And they cost money to do.
Yeah, they do.
And implement. So did when you developed this new program, was that in vision of meeting those needs as far as that goes?
Yes. Our former dean had gotten approached about, 6 or 8 years ago by the former CEO or president of the Regional Water Authority.
Okay.
He recently just passed,
Larry Bingaman, yes.
And he said that about 50% of his workforce would be retiring within the next 10 years.
Yep.
And, we want to hire your students, but they have to have the skills that we need. So that's how it all started.
Nice.
And we sort of waxed and waned and tweaked and perfected, but only when we got this new dean, Dean Jess Baronico. He's been with us about 3 years now.
Okay.
He said, let's talk to them. Let's ask them what they need. And so we brought them all in and then worked all that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Wes has been teaching the water management program down there for quite a few years.
Right.
In fact, I think I took a couple of courses with him when the gateway was in the other end of the Regional Water Authority.
Right.
That was a few years ago. In fact, Wes and I, after Larry passed, we did a memorial podcast in his honor.
Oh, okay. That was nice.
Larry was a great guy. He did, and he worked so well with the college, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really was. You get to a point where the industry, and I'm sure your academic community it's like a close-knit family.
Yes.
As far as that goes. So are you involved in the everyday teaching as well?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. So how many sections do you normally teach?
I normally teach 3 different classes per semester.
Okay.
And then when we start this new program in the fall, I'll still continue to teach 3 classes, but it'll be something along the lines of the courses that they had identified or the skills that they had identified.
So what classes do you teach now?
Right now, I teach management and organization. I teach a diversity class. Rotates every semester. Organizational behavior and leadership.
Right. So what's the status of, let's see, DIY?
Not sure. DIY?
Or DI?
I'm not. Well, we still have DEI. We just hired
DEI,
a vice president, but I'm not certain. They say that it's going to continue. So
Okay.
for now, it's going to continue.
Yes, yes. Well, it's interesting how
Yeah.
how the political landscape
Right.
changes everything. To
Right.
go from there.
Right.
And whatever. So yeah. No, I think my primary focus in starting this podcast is to make students aware of some of the lucrative and stable careers that are in this industry.
Absolutely.
And as you stated, as Larry stated, I mean, the attrition rate and the retirement rate. I retired after 50 years, and we literally have to start. And it's a kind of a pun, but refilling the pipeline.
Right. Exactly.
You know.
And there's some great jobs there. I happened to look at their website to see what kind of jobs they had open, and also looked at some of the other Glassdoor and Indeed, just to see what kind of jobs there were.
Right. Right.
And and also they mentioned the salaries and the healthcare benefits, those kinds of things.
Right.
And I think it would be to everybody's advantage, every student's advantage, to look into this and see. It's a great job. There are great jobs out there. I like I said, I retired from Southern New England Telephone.
Right.
I can tell you the benefits are great, and
Sure.
I'm collecting a pension now.
Hallelujah.
So it's a great program. So I am in charge to market it and get it.
Well, it's funny because these careers in this industry, these are jobs and careers that you can't outsource.
Right.
You need boots on the ground, just like
Right.
SNET. You had,
Right.
you lost phone service. You
Right.
pole got hit. You got to
Right.
go out and fix it, or
Right.
whatever.
Right. There's always going to be needs for water and electricity and
Absolutely.
natural gas. There's always going to be needs for that. They're not going to replace it with anything.
Yes. Yes.
So-
So now, are you primarily at? You're on Church Street down in New Haven?
No, I'm
the gate?
Wintergreen Avenue in New Haven. It's with Southern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, with
yeah,
Southern. I'm
yes.
sorry. Okay.
But I was on Church Street before I retired with Southern New England Telephone. Yes.
Ah, yes. Well, that's I go from there. Now the campus now is what primarily is because now you're all part of the state
Right.
system now.
We've always been part of the state system, but I'm in the School of Business, and we have a brand new building. If you've
Okay.
never been by it, you should drive by. It's absolutely phenomenal. We, I'm embarrassed to say that we're a sustainable building. We have a zero net. We create the energy that we use.
Okay.
But it's absolutely phenomenal. It's like 22nd century kind of classrooms.
Do you have a living roof?
Yes, we think we do. Yeah, we do.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So fantastic. Well, I'm glad that you were. I was able to corral and have
Yes.
you come up and let us a little bit know what your insight of
Yes.
what your day job is at. So, education wise, I mean, just going back and rolling back the calendar. What was your vocation? When you got going through school, how to tell me how the path.
Well, I actually got my undergraduate degree in communication,
Oh, okay.
and then I got my MBA,
Okay.
both from Southern,
Okay.
and then I went on to get my doctorate in that's actually in communication as well.
Okay.
So I do business communication because even though we're all technology has prevailed, you still have to write letters and memos and evaluations and you name it. You still have to do it.
Well, I went to school and my degree is in music. I've been in the water industry for 50 years, but whatever. I talked to Wes on, okay, what is your take on AI?
Wow, it's sort of a scary unknown. I think. I mean,
Okay.
I think there's times it can be beneficial. Like when
Okay.
I, Google something and it says the AI collected this from a number of sites.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, okay. But when I give an assignment, I recently gave an assignment and asked them. I gave them 10 soft skills, and I said, pick 3 that you think that you have, and tell me how you use it,
Yeah.
this skill. And I had at least 4 or 5 students who they picked the skill, but you could tell that they went out to either Google or AI.
Yeah.
Because the actual writing was, you will use this skill on a day-to-day basis when you do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So I wrote back and said, do you actually talk about yourself in the third person, or did you Google this? I mean, the obvious answer was they either Googled it or got it from AI.
Yeah.
So that was, it's disappointing because I know that students work a lot full time, and they have the pressure of school, and there's a lot of other pressures on them. So I get that, but you're not learning anything if you have to Google the answer. If I said, oh, you were a great communicator, how do you use that? And you have to go out to Google to figure out how you use that. It's very discouraging.
Yeah, for sure. Now, in classes, I know a lot of school districts are basically limiting the use of cell phones in classes. Does that prevail in the college academia?
Well, yeah, I do have it in my syllabus that they, should not use the cell phone. And I will call somebody out on it if I see them doing it. It's almost like an addiction, it seems at times.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
I'll be talking about something really like pouring my heart out, and I can see somebody in the back of the room like texting.
Yeah.
But I've actually also asked students to leave the class. The classroom. I said, if you have to answer that text or whatever it is, then go out in the hall. And if you can't do that, or don't feel you need to do that, then you don't need to be in this class.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
a couple of the classes that I taught, as far as that goes, I taught my water and people class in Bloomfield, and it got to the point, when they came into class, I had them put their cell phones in a box because it was like, answering texts, but you're giving them a quiz, and,
right?
they're looking up.
I stopped giving quizzes for that reason because they just all look it up the answer. And So no matter how hard I made it, I tried to mix it up for every student so they didn't get number one for you wasn't the same number one for me.
Yeah.
But they still just I stopped.
They circumvent that. Yeah, exactly.
So.
Fantastic.
One other thing I do want to mention about this program is the Regional Water Authority had given us money for scholarships. So I know that students are always looking for, scholarships, and you really don't have, you have to be in the program, you have to be enrolled in the program. But if you're a full-time student as of today, you'll get a $4,000 scholarship, and if you're part-time, you get $2,000 scholarship, and all you have to do is be enrolled in the program. I look this up every semester.
Okay.
Your name is there, you get the money.
Nice.
So.
Well, I'll tell you, if you do me a favor, if you can send me an email when I finish doing the post-production, I can put the link in.
Perfect.
In the comments.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be great. Thank you.
Go from there. So anyway, my alter ego, as you know, is I own a music store, so I have some musical questions for you. So. All right. So, what's the last concert you ever attended? Do you remember?
Toby Keith.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't remember. I think it was at Foxwoods. I might have been at Mohican, but one or the other.
Okay. So, what's your favorite genre of music? Country or?
Yes, country.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, that's good. If you got stuck on a desert island, what 2 albums would you bring?
Ooh, wow. That's hard. Because I'll hear like an oldies song from like the 60s or 70s, and I'll say, "Oh yeah, I'd want that." I honestly, there's too many to think of to pick from. So
okay, if you got stuck on a desert island, what food could you eat every day?
Anything fruit related.
Fruit. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy. I got pizza is high on the list.
Really?
Pizza.
No. I have other. I'm lactose intolerant, so pizza's not on my list of anything. So
yeah. Are you a fan of New Haven pizza at all?
In the past.
Okay.
In the past.
Okay. Have any favorites as far as, modern Sally's or Pepe's?
No.
Because I had a fellow that he wrote a pizza movie and music for Dean Falcone, and I did his podcast in my studio in Portland, and he came up to me and he walks into the podcast and he has 3 large Sally's pizzas.
Wow,
that was nice. And so forth.
When I do order pizza, which is rare because I don't get it with the cheese on it.
Yeah.
I like Capone's in Branford. I think they're also in North Branford too. Capone's. Okay. Oh my God, they're so good.
Nice. Well, that's great. Fantastic. So, okay, Carol, thank you so much for taking time out to come on, and good luck in your presentation today.
Thank you. Yes.
And I know you and Wes are going to kill it.
Absolutely.
Partners in crime. There. So anyway, all righty, fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this episode of The Future of the Water and Wastewater Industry and the careers you didn't know about. And Miss Carol Stewart's in the house from Southern Connecticut State University. So, Carol, thank you so much for taking time to come up and enlighten us on what your day job is, and so we can tell our students, the opportunities that are out there. So thank you. That is all.